Today's guest is Serena, founder of Fuzzy AI, a social selling machine who learned the hard way that you can still make money and still be miserable if you're building the wrong thing. Serena's early journey was full of classic founder traps, hiring the wrong CTOs, building products people didn't want, and forcing herself into startups she didn't even love. The result, revenue on paper, but zero joy, and a grind that hurt more than it helped. The breakthrough came when she stopped forcing ideas, leaned into the work she's passionate about, and rebuilt around what actually lights her up. Let's dive into Serena's founder fuck up. Serena, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So what were the early startups or products you were building, and what pulled you into those ideas initially?
Oh, I actually have a lot. I don't think we've ever talked about this together, actually. Yeah, contact me and Ben are friends. First startup I did, I always knew I wanted to be a founder. The very first startup was probably about 12 years ago. I built something called The Perfect Date. Essentially, back then, there was a way to find different restaurants. It was called Urban Spoon in Australia. And then it got bought over by Zomato. I don't know if it's Southeast Asia are familiar with it. And we thought, okay, if there's this thing for restaurants, why don't we do the same thing for dates? Because it's really hard to find great date locations. What we found was it's quite tricky given that the type of people preferences are different, location is really hard, preferences, yada, yada. It's actually very hard to do. And so what we end up pivoting to was a dating app. But then the dating app, you don't have high LTV because if you do actually a good job, they actually leave the product. The second one that I built was I got really into a huge fan of Tim Ferriss, nootropics. And so started looking at how do you effectively be smarter with vitamins and everything. There's actually a really long list, but maybe I summarize it as I did a lot of B2C products because B2C is sexy, but I am a corporate girl by training and I actually love B2B. B2C drains me because I never got feedback from people. So if people loved it, you don't know. If people hate it, you don't know. All you get is the nasty customer email or the review message. Whereas with B2B, you can build relationships with people. And so if the product doesn't work, you can work with them and workshop it. And so I've actually had a lot of joy building B2B products compared to building B2C products.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I've always been a B2B guy. So
Mm.
I avoid B2C like the plague, I think.
The B2C sounds sexy. That's why I did it because it's like, oh, wow, you see this in the news. It's very relatable. Oh, wow. So I was part of a lot of B2C companies. And it's always, when I talk about the company, everyone's like, wow, that's amazing. But then like the work just wasn't fun. But B2B for me is, the brands aren't as big, aren't as known. I wouldn't say big, but they're not as known, but they're super fun. Well, for me, they're super fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Time out, guys. Lots of you are watching. Lots of you are learning from the founder fuck-ups that we've all gone through. But please do me one little teeny favor and subscribe so that we can keep growing the channel and get more great founders on. Back to the episode.
Okay. When I was doing the intro, there were kind of a few big mistakes that you made. You kind of mentioned hiring the wrong CTO, building things you didn't love, and just creating products people didn't really want. Which one of these things hit you the hardest?
Oh, definitely the CTO one. Definitely CTO one. Yeah, because it's half of your business, right? And you're working with them. I think I get very excited working with people. And so, I mean, most startups fail, they say it's because of the co-founder anyway. So I think it's not new news, but the CTO one definitely hurt a lot more because I put a lot of trust in them. And I think I also always tried to make excuses for them. Like, oh no, they'll be better. And it doesn't. So I think a lesson learned is you have to have someone that you really, really trust, or at least have done a project with them, have struggled with them before. I think that's a big one, like actually gone through a lot of pain and then decide to do a business relationship because, they say you spend more time with your co-founder than you do with your partner, right? And so getting that right is so important and being able to, and this is even with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, being able to debate or argue well is really important. Like, I think it's stupid to have no fights because then you don't work through hard problems. But I think being able to work through them is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I talk a little bit about this, that choosing your co-founder or business partner, it's like getting into marriage. You have to go through that courting phase because if you're not, I mean, you're not going to marry somebody on your first date. So why should you start a business with them? And actually, it's easier to get divorced than it is to break up a business relationship. And so kind of what started to happen? Like what was the impact of you and your co-founder not really working well together?
That co-founder at the time, I think it took a lot of mental load, and I just remember going into work and being super miserable, and you're just not excited. Like, I'm happy that now I come to work, I'm pretty excited every day, except for, like, other things, but most times I'm actually pretty excited to come in because I'm really grateful for my co-founder right now. He's amazing. And he supports me, and we argue or discuss things well if we don't disagree with things, which I think is very important. Like, without
Positive conflict, right? You
exactly.
need
Yeah,
good
I
conflict.
love that. Yeah, positive conflict. I think positive conflict is so important. So yeah, I think having the wrong co-founder, it's just it ruins everything, and you just yeah, it's a really bad feeling. So it changes everything, like, even to the how you sell, how you build, every part of the business is impacted if that relationship is rocky.
And do you think, because you also said that, all right, we made money, but you hated it. Do you think that was a big part of why you felt that kind of day to day was just because it was a very uncomfortable working
Yeah.
relationship? So it wasn't, you didn't care about the money anymore.
Yeah. I've realized for me, being able to do something that I'm really passionate about, like, I think having money is great, but then I think once you have money, it's like, it's just that, like, if you're not enjoying how you grow the business, it's not gonna be fun anyway. So, yeah, definitely having someone that you can go on this journey with. It sounds like I'm talking about marriage actually, but having like a co-founder that you can do and have the journey with and work together and grow the company and have each other's back. Like my co-founder right now, if I'm like stressed or depressed, he'd be like, "Yo, what's up? Let's talk about it." And just someone that has your back constantly is so, so important. And I think it's so underrated. I think it's like people, even early on, like I think I was so excited to have a co-founder, and everyone's like, "Oh, getting a co-founder is hard," but actually, getting the wrong co-founder is even harder, and it just ruins. Like you've just like I look back at those months, and I'm like, I've wasted like a whole year, where I could have just like worked on that. I anyway, but those are lessons learned, so I don't think it's a whole waste. Like you always learn things along the way, but yeah, it's frustrating.
Absolutely. I mean, every fuck up is a lesson. That's why we're here. I think I would be very fortunate with my co-founder, but and we're no longer partners anymore, but we're like best friends still. And we went through thick, we went through thin, we had great success, we had great failure as well. And we're still best friends now that we're not working together. And I love that about us. And I
Mm.
think it's because we spent a lot of time in the courting phase. Like we did a couple of joint projects together. We basically knew each other for more than a year in a business relationship rather than a friendship. So that kind of helped us a lot. When did you realize that? I mean, I know that you didn't really care so much about the money anymore because you hated that day to day feeling of, oh, I've got to deal with this guy, or we're not working well together. When did you start to realize as well that it was related to the idea that you weren't so passionate about? Because you talked about B2C and that uncomfortable part, and you kind of kept making these different products. So you're kind of repeating that same cycle, right? So when did you start to realize that the ideas were impacting your passion?
Yeah. I think the first few ideas I did them because they were sexy. Like, oh, dating's sexy. Like at the time, there was only Tinder and RSVP. Like there wasn't Bumble and Hinge and all that. So it was like this new wave of sexiness. So I was like, oh, I want to do something sexy. But I'm not a very romantic person, so I think I was not the right person at all for that. In terms of products, I also went down like I think every founder nearly goes through the let's do an Amazon business or drop shipping business. Done that. I still have the products for that actually, but we did wooden toys, and that still makes money actually. But do I thought I liked it because I love like one of my things that I love is I love thinking about the way people think and how they got to that in the first place and the rationale behind it. And so we were building Montessori toys, which is all about how do you build children from very young to be able to convert them to like independent thinkers. And so I thought I liked that, but at the end of the day, I'm not a mum. So like I can't solve my own, like I can't solve that problem. I don't have children. I have friends who have children, but I don't have that pain. And so that one taught me that I have to solve my own problem. And that's when I get super passionate. Even the idea before, so the original version of Fuzzy Sequence is we're an AI deployment product for edge solutions, which is quite technical. Again, I
Yeah, you
wasn't,
lost me already. Edge
yeah.
solutions, that's just buzzwords to me.
Yeah. So TLDR, it's pretty much AI deployments onto hardware devices. But another thing there is I didn't enjoy it. I wasn't a user. I think the best founders, and I could be right or wrong, is the people who use their product every day. And so luckily now we're building a sales product. I use my product every single day and I can figure out what works, what doesn't work. And I'm passionate about it myself because I want to get myself results. Like if I'm selling a sales product, I better get meetings booked. And so that makes it a lot more fun because I'm into the weeds of it. Whereas actually all the other ideas that I had, I don't think I was a user and I wasn't trying to solve that problem. I was trying to understand the customer, then translate it, but not really. I think, sympathize, but I couldn't empathize because I wasn't that person. So for me was quite a big unlock as well, being a
Great.
user of my.
Yeah, I think eating your own dog food is what they call it, right? And those previous products, you just, like you said, there wasn't a care for it in the sense that you've got to
Mm.
make it work for you as well.
Exactly. I don't know how to be a better mum because I'm not a mum. I couldn't be a better in the like we also built an NFT, I'm not a crypto bro. I also did dating. I'm not a romantic person. I don't plan dates. It's just like I wasn't the right person for it.
Yeah. And what was the specific moment of, say, realization that pushed you to stop forcing these ideas that didn't really feel like you? Because it sounds like you were more jumping on trends than
Yeah.
really caring about what you wanted to. So when was the specific moment you're like, you know what, fuzzy is the right path? Like, or perhaps there was something before fuzzy.
To be honest, I think I didn't have a realization moment. I just felt an energy shift. So I think before I just was like not excited to go into work or not excited to do things, but I get quite excited doing things for Fuzzy and I enjoy every day. So I think it was an I don't think I was like smart enough to realize at that point, but now that I'm doing this, it's a realization that I have now that I quite enjoy my day to day. I like people are like, oh, you work a lot. Well, it doesn't feel like working a lot for me because I actually quite enjoy everything that I do. Whereas before, I think I would dread it. Like, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to buy stock. Oh, I have to do this, and it just wasn't fun. So I think it was it's an after effect realization. I wish I was smart enough to know before that. But I think it was much more like I've done this and I'm like, wow, I really enjoy my day to day now. I get a lot of energy from it.
That's good. I think work-life balance in itself is like a spectrum. Like you work really hard and lots of hours and you're like, well, it doesn't feel like work. Like, and you probably
Yeah.
have a good balance. And then
Yeah.
some people who work that lifestyle be like, Jesus, I'm working too much. And it's all just
Yeah.
kind of it's how you feel. Yeah. Cool. So now you love what you do and you have a new co-founder. Kind of going back to that, your lesson previously was, you know, we need the right people in a team. What did you do to kind of avoid making the same mistake again when you were picking your new co-founder?
Yeah. Having a framework for conflict resolution, knowing like just even like at the very beginning, if you had problems, how do you solve it? Making sure that we're aligned on the same goals. And we care about the same thing. And I think the rest follows. I think number one is conflict resolution. I think that's the most important one. And then being able to make sure that you're aligned and you check in like, every few days, every day, if you can. It's harder when you have a bigger team. But yeah, I think yeah, definitely conflict resolution and making sure that you have regular cadences to catch up and talk through things.
Yeah. Okay. My co-founder and I, when we had finally decided we were about to partner, we hello.
I don't think I can hear you. Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah. So when my co-founder and I were in the process of partnering up, we went through this process of basically, we did all our strengths, our weaknesses, our values, our non-negotiables, but we even wrote down what happens if one of us dies, like
Wow.
what's going to happen. And we also had split the roles where I was the CEO and they were the COO. And so my decision would be final because I'm the CEO. But the CEO, my co-founder, couldn't agree with me, we then used our business coach as the deciding factor. And so we wrote all of this down, which really helped kind of build that structure and also set great expectations at the beginning.
So we don't have that, but normally we run it by the data points. So let's say if we have very different views, what we do instead is we just look at the data for what has traditionally worked. And if not, we can run both experiments because we don't know who's right, and say whichever has the highest metric from it, and then we'll go with that solution. So we try to be a bit more data led. Yeah, we actually, yeah, we haven't gone through like the negotiation process for that, but I think we're pretty like, I think both of us are quite aligned. We haven't had to go through big ones just yet, and the ones that we do, it's more, we try to make it very data focused.
Shifting gears a moment, you ran lots of different startups and lots of different little companies, and obviously some of them didn't work out, and we're here at Fuzzy. But you never stopped. Like, you kept trying to build something, right? I'm wondering that, like, what caught that entrepreneur bug for you in the first place? Like, where did that?
Sorry, I think it disconnected. Can you hear me okay?
You're back. I'll repeat the question and I'll just edit it out. I'll let
Thank you. Sorry.
your catch up. Like, you're still a bit laggy. Okay, I can see you now. You're no longer fuzzy. Can you hear me? Okay. Fuck, what was my question? I forgot.
So you said with your previous co-founder. So you said with your previous co-founders, you normally did, and then it cut off there.
No. So you have done a bunch of different startups, and you know, we're talking like drop shipping, dating, etc. Now we're into kind of like B2B lead generation, social selling. But all the time you just keep trying to build new businesses. Where did the bug of entrepreneurship originally come from for you?
I think I've always, like, I think the way our parents raised us, I've always wanted to be very successful. This is going to sound very cheesy. I always thought I wanted to be a CEO. And then I remember one day I watched The Social Network with Mark Zuckerberg and Dustin. And I remember there was the scene where Dustin and Mark got in trouble. And I might be paraphrasing because I haven't watched this in about 10 years or 15 years. And I remember the dean said, you know, at every other university, we create people who become great CEOs. At Harvard, we have people who hire great CEOs. And I was thinking, I want to build something that hires great CEOs. Like, I want to have great people around me. And so I think that was the turning point for me. And I'm like, I'm going to be Mark Zuckerberg and hire great people around me. I don't want to, why am I doing it all? So
That was your spark. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I think after that, I just realized I really love building stuff and I love seeing things grow and I love having autonomy. And I worked in corporate. And I think one of the big things I realized is I just hate waiting to get things done. And so the great thing about startup is once I have an idea, I can get it done. And it just moves so quickly and I get so much fulfillment from that. And yeah, so I'm a founder now, I guess.
You're a founder now. That's awesome. And you shifted from working on these projects that you weren't passionate about to being passionate about. And you said that now you don't really feel like you're working. You love your day to day. You're cracking on.
Yeah.
How did that feel when you sort of felt that initial change? And what difference did you see in yourself beyond that you enjoy working? Like, what's the difference you started to see from when we were working on dating app versus Fuzzy? Like, what was the true difference you started to see?
I think I can give a very easy example is I don't need an alarm to wake up. Whereas like when I dreaded like working on something, I'd like postpone it. I'd snooze the button. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do this. Whereas now I'd wake up, I'm like, yeah, I get to do this. And so I think that, like, I mean, that's a very small but like very measurable difference. But I think also in terms of ideas and being able to do things and work with people, yeah, it's just a lot more fun. I can work till like midnight or like, 2 a.m. in the morning and I not even realize. Like networking is part of my job, which is such a crazy thing, right? Like I love meeting people and I love like having conversation. That's part of what I do. Like that leads to business, which is such a crazy thing. Whereas I've always been in back office roles and I'm like, oh, it's not necessarily the most fun, but yeah, it's like, okay, a very tangible example. When I was doing drop shipping, I hated using the Amazon Seller Central portal and being able to figure all the buttons and going here and there like that, like it drained me. And every single time I did it, I'm like, I had to have a coffee, had to have a snack to like make myself feel better about it. Whereas now I'm like, if I can go to networking events and meet people and then also show them the product, that's super fun for me. And I can think about how to grow the business and yeah, way more fun.
Awesome. And if you were to give kind of one piece of advice to a founder who's perhaps grinding on something that makes money but just doesn't make them happy, what might that be?
I don't think I can give someone advice because I know plenty of people who make money and don't enjoy it. And I think I think everyone's perspective is different. So I wouldn't say quit it because if you enjoy it and if it makes money and you don't doesn't bother you, then it's okay. I think for me, I need high fulfillment to get something done, or to be sustainable. Sorry, I think sustainable is the better word. Like I can work for this in the next 10 years and still really enjoy it. Whereas I think if you work on something that you don't like, you will burn out. And the comparison I like to make is if you don't really enjoy it, the company will only grow this much. Whereas if you really enjoy it, like I really enjoy what we do, like everyone says we have really good growth, you grow so much more quickly because you have so much fun in the space. You don't feel as burnt out compared to if you were to work in a space that you hated. And I think about energy split. If you work on something you hate, you're just going to be drained and feel shitty every time you go to work. Whereas if you love something, you go to work every day and you're like energized and you're just having an overall better life. So it depends. I would say, if you want to have an overall sense of more happiness, then I would go for the passion route. But I don't think I'd be brazen enough to say that I could give someone advice if it works for them. But for me, I always see the benefit in doing something that you love because I think you can grow the business so much more in my mind.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more, really. I think you need that kind of why behind it all as well. And sometimes it's not necessarily exactly what you do that's the why, but it's the impact of what you do that is the why. I remember when I first started my business, we were doing kind of lead generation, similar field to Fuzzy, but not a product, it was a service. We were doing it for like really small business owners, and every piece of business we got them meant that they hired somebody during COVID. And that was
Oh,
like, that got me a lot. That was like a big meaning for
yeah,
me beyond, money
yeah,
growing the business. And I
of
think like
course.
having that why that you can be passionate about really does help. And I think we all start with a little why we're getting it. If you're getting into business just to make money, there are lots of ways to make money in life.
Oh, you know what? I think the why helps you get through the hard times. I think that's
Yes,
probably after you said that, it made me realize like, I think if you don't have a strong why, it's easier to give up. Whereas if you have a strong why, like you can go beyond, like even the shitty times, and every business owner goes through this, even though they're shitty times, you could break through a lot more because you're like, oh, I can see the why, I can see the future vision. So whatever's happening now is just a small roadblock. So yeah, definitely, I think it drives you more if you have a stronger why.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Serena, we've built a drop shipping business, we've built a dating app, but now you're building Fuzzy AI. Tell us a little bit about that, and yeah, what you're up to now, how people can get in touch with you and get involved.
Yeah. So for B2B companies, everything that we do is we help you get more meetings booked. What we've seen right now is you have to build your presence online. People have to trust you before they even buy you. So we do a few things. One, we help you build your presence on social media so that people know who you are and they want to buy from you. We help you engage with your audience as well. But off the back of that, we also help you write out personalized campaigns. So we also have an AI SDR function where they do research on your leads, write messages, and build out a campaign. But everything that we do, and there's more features to come, is around the intelligence and the knowledge of getting you more meetings booked. And so all of our customers have had an increase in pipeline after using us. So if you're interested, you're a B2B business and you want to get more meetings booked, please reach out. My name's Serena Lam if you're seeing this podcast. Thanks. You're on mute, by the way, Ben.
Get Fuzzy.
Oh, there we go. Fuzzy.ai. Yes, that's right. Get
Yeah.
fuzzy.ai.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing some lessons that you've gained from a few mistakes, from your fuck ups. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ben.
Bye.